Hello and welcome to Indocan Astrologer. This is Shweta. Welcome to Chai Pe Charcha with Shweta. I just wanted to play a little on words. But today's topic is going to be exciting. It has a lot of amazing details for everyone. Please feel free to ask me questions in the comments. If you like my content, give me a thumbs up. Like, share, subscribe. I do always appreciate it. Any support that I can receive from my viewers is always welcome. So let's dive into the topic, and I'll see you guys on the other side. So, what is marriage? What is the definition of marriage? What is the timing of marriage? How does one predict it? Is it dependent on dashas only, or does transit matters, or is it both, or what exactly is it that leads a person to marriage or towards moksha or sannyas, which is not diving into the grasta jivan at all, or is there a denial of marriage in a chart? Well, denial of marriage, yes, it is. It is an interesting topic on its own, so we will dive into that, but in a different lecture. At this particular point in time, let's focus on the definition of marriage and the marriage itself. Okay, so if we were to ask a normal human being, and before learning astrology, if you had asked me what is the definition of marriage, well, Venus is my Atma Karaka. So Venus being my Atma Karaka, I would say definition of marriage is to find someone who you love, who loves you, to have a lifelong partnership, to grow old with them, to build a family, build a future. That all is still true. But when we go back to Vedic astrology and to scriptures and our ancestors and Saptarishis and way back in time, and then if you dig up the definition from then, definition of marriage is basically settle of Pitrurin, debt of your forefathers. So when I say settlement of Pitrurin, it basically means you're settling these karmic debt that has accumulated in your lineage from your ancestors by the way of dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Or if you want to put it into Western astrology, you're getting rid of the debt of your forefathers through fire, earth, air, water. These are the elements, and then they rule your chart, right? So let's understand a little as to how they impact your chart or how they rule these trines. And when it comes to matchmaking of charts, how do they play an important factor? We'll get into that as well. Okay, so first and foremost, as you can see, in the houses marked 1, 5, and 9, it's a trine, it's in a triangle. That is your dharma triangle. Dharma as in dharma towards yourself, the dharma towards your kids, the dharma towards the universe, towards your society, right? So dharma does not just include religion. In this case, dharma 110% includes the duty towards yourself, towards your religion, towards your society, towards your kids, all of it, not just one thing. Okay, then moving on to the second part, which is the earth or earth element. The earth trine, which is 2, 6, and 10. That is basically your finances, your family finances, your debt, your enmities, your rin, and your career, right? So this trine basically focuses on your finances, the capacity to earn, the capacity to provide, the capacity to make enemies or get rid of enemies, for example. So that is the earth trine. Moving on to kama, or the air trine. So the Kama trine is 3, 7, and 11. Okay? So Kama trine is of desires, if you want to put it in one word. Desires towards your spouse, desire towards the society, the friends, your wishes. Does your wishes have the capacity? Do you have the capacity to turn them into reality? Are you self-sufficient? Are you a hardworking person who can turn those desires into a reality? Right. So this Kama trine indicates that Kama trine not only impacts your own desires, but when it comes to matchmaking, all these trines are going to play an important factor. We'll get into that. Let's move on and cover the moksha trine as well. So the moksha trine, as you can see, is 4, 8, and 12 houses. So when you're on the path of moksha, which is liberation, your fourth house, as in your own house of happiness, where you feel the comfort. Do you have the luxuries? Do you have the comfort? Are you giving it up? What are your expectations of it? In the moksha trine, of course, there comes secret desires. There comes desires like bed pleasures, desires like the duty towards your in-laws, for example. So a lot of things comes into moksha trine as well. Um, are you on the path of moksha? So each chart, if you want to put it in a simpler way, each chart has these 12 houses, these trines, and this chart, just so you know, it is an example of it is an example of the basic chart. Like it has no correlation with the rashis or houses or anything like that. Just a very basic, simple chart for you to understand the trines. Um, we are going to dive into more examples. Sorry, I needed a sip of tea there. Okay. Again, so dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These 4 elements create 4 different trines in your chart. Makes up your 12 houses, makes up all of the human desires, the needs, the urge, and it plays a factor in getting rid of your pitrurin. How? Let's get into it. Okay, so matching of charts. This is a very, very important topic in today's day and age. Yes, we are in Kalyug. So a lot of people, what I have seen is even just basic astrologers, they would be like, okay, the guna matches, the guna is decent enough for them to get married, or oh, it's excellent, it's 36 out of 36, let's go ahead and get them married. Not necessarily. Just because the guna matches does not mean that the elements match, or these two partners complement each other on the path of getting rid of your pitrurin, or the settlement of the contract, pretty much, right? So if you were to step back, guna is okay. Sure, if you want to keep it simple, you can go ahead with it. But a lot of other factors when it comes to matching charts do play. So let's say, for example, dharma trine, right? So as you can see in the male chart, in the example, the dharma trine is first, fifth, and ninth house, which is where we have Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus signs. Okay, in these 3 signs, specifically in the first house, he has Venus and Mercury. Okay, in the 5th house, in the sign of Capricorn, he has Rahu. And in the 9th house, this person has Mars. So this person's, first of all, Dharma trine is very active, right? It has a positive planet in the Dharma trine like Venus. So if we compare it to the female chart right below, which has Dharma trine in 9, 1, and 5 rashis, she has Jupiter in 9th house in the 5th rashi of Leo, right? So this person has Jupiter with Mercury, the other one has Venus with Mercury. So yes, 100% when it comes to chart matching, when it comes to the Dharma element of these two charts, I can say that yes, they will be able to fulfill the duty towards the Dharma, which means towards self, towards kids, and towards the society in general, if they were to get married. Okay? So that is 25% of pretty much a tick mark. Then comes Earth. So as you see in the guy's chart above, the male's chart, Rashi number 7, 11, and 3. Okay? So in the Rashi number 7, he has Sun and Moon, which is okay in terms of cash flow, but it's not going to be consistent towards cash flow because Moon again gives a lot of fluctuations, right? So not the best placement of it. And when it comes to 6th house, Aquarius sign, there's no planet. Great, fine, we'll leave it as is. In the 10th house, there's no planet as well. But if we were to see the 10th house Lord, Mercury, is placed in 1st house, the 6th house Lord is placed in 4th house. So we can say, yes, this person might be financially somewhat okay. Okay? Let's compare that to the female chart. The female has Saturn in 2nd house. Ouch. And then 6th house is empty, and then 10th house has Sun and Mars. So 10th house of career is strong. 2nd house is in a way strong because Saturn is sitting in its own Rashi, but it is very critical of itself as well. So again, when it comes to Earth trine, they should be somewhat okay as well. Not significant issues over there to be seen. Let's move on to Kama. This is where the issue comes, okay? So if you see the Kama in the male chart, Rashi number 8, 12, and 4. 8 and 12, they're empty. Rashi 4 has Jupiter and Ketu, okay? Ketu in the house of desires and desire fulfillment, not the best placement, especially with Jupiter. Jupiter sitting with Ketu is basically like this person's path is most lenient towards moksha. His thought process of love is more spiritual, which is good, but hard to find in Kali Yuga, right? So that could become a problem. Now, when we compare it to the female right below, the Kama trine, 11, 3, and 7 in this case. These Rashis, 11th has Moon, okay, she may not have the capacity to fulfill all of her own desires or others. 7th house has Ketu, she's not that lenient towards their spouse, not significantly, maybe not significantly attached towards the spouse. And then 11th house Lord, which is Venus, is sitting in 8th house. Again, not the best placement. So when it comes to Kama, not the best match for the male and the female in this situation. Coming to the moksha. In the male chart, as you can see, moksha here, 9, 1, and 5. 1 and 5, they're empty. We'll leave that for now, but let's focus on the 9th sign in the 4th house where there is Saturn. Saturn in 4th house makes it very, very difficult to actually be able to buy a house or settle down a house. So if we were to compare that to the female, she has in the fourth house the sign of Jupiter. Jupiter itself is well placed, so yes, she would be able to buy a house, buy a car, settle down easily, won't have too much of an issue there. And in the Moksha trine, she has Venus in the 8th house. So yes, she could also be spiritual, which again is good, because at the end of the day, you do want to go towards moksha, right? But in this case, the male's chart does not support the female in terms of buying a house or a car or the luxuries of life. But the female's chart, yes, that supports the male to buy the luxuries like house and car and diamonds and whatnot. So in that case, yes, moksha is also okay. So 75%, yes, this chart is good. These charts are good to go. Coming to moon. Now, when the moon is placed 2 to 12 or 6 to 8, these sort of positions do tend to cause an issue for the chart matchmaking. Okay, so in this case, as you can see, in the male's moon is in the sign of Venus, the female's moon is in the sign of Aquarius. That is 5-9 signed to each other. So if you count from from the moon in Venus sign in Libra for the male, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 houses away to the female's moon sign in Aquarius. Okay, so 5-9 position of moons don't exactly complement each other either. Okay, so not that great. When it comes to Jupiter, so the male's Jupiter is basically with the Ketu. So more on the terms of the path of liberation or his desires or his view of love and marriage and Grasta Jivan does not align with this particular female. Then comes Venus. Female's Venus is in 8th house and the male's Venus is in 1st house. Well, Venus in 1st house is fine, but Venus in 8th house in conjunction with Saturn in the 2nd house does not do well for love life. Or if we want to put it again, Venus, if we go back one side, Venus is part of Kama trine, right? It is, as you can see, number 7, Kama and Earth of finances as well. So when it comes to Kam and Earth, the female's chart does not exactly complement the male chart again. So if we were to consider these 7 points, out of these 7 points, three are fine. Dharma, Earth, and Moksha is fine. Kama, Moon, Jupiter, and Venus don't exactly support this chart matching. So if we were to give a decision on this chart, it would be that we would recommend do not proceed with this particular match. And in reality, their chart matched 14 out of 36 gunas. So yes, this one was correct in terms of guna matching as well, but that's a different topic for a different day. There are charts which match none at all and have lived a happy life. And then there are charts who have matched well and have had a terrible life together, right? So let's leave the topic for guna for other days. We'll get into it in more details later on. Okay, timing of events. This is one of my favorite topics. I've done a lot of research. I've gone through a lot of charts to bring you this piece of information. So I really hope you guys enjoy it and are able to make some good decisions or good sense out of your own chart as well, for that matter. timing of events, be it marriage, be it getting a job, be it getting a kid, conceiving, this, that, everything, all of these timings of events must carry a promise. The dasha must come while you're alive, and it should not negate the event. And the planets then should activate certain houses to fulfill that initial promise that you see in the chart, right? Okay, so this chart to your right, again, it's a dear friend of mine. Okay, so let's first see if this particular chart has a promise of marriage. Now, there's no significant denial of marriage or anything like that. If 7th house Lord was placed in 8th house, or 8th house Lord was placed in 7th house, or if there were significant issues like that, then yes, there could be a denial of marriage. In this case, 7th house Lord Saturn is placed in 6th house, but it is placed with a planet Sun, which is well, it has enmity towards Sun, right? So the person may want to get married, but the Sun is going to cause delays towards it. As simple as that. So yes, we will create something on denial of marriage, but in this case, let's just say that there is no such thing as denial of marriage for now, okay? And then the dashas have to support it. What that means is there's Mahadasha, Antardasha, Pratyantardasha, Shushmadasha, right? So Mahadasha of 2nd house, 7th house, 11th house, if they come along, they 110% support the event of marriage. In this particular case, the 2nd house is number 5, which is basically Leo. 7th house is of Saturn, which is Capricorn. 11th house is of Taurus, ruled by Venus. So in this particular chart, Sun, Saturn, and Venus, these 3 planets, Mahadasha comes, it's a green light that this person 99.9% would get married, okay? Then comes Antardasha. Actually, before we go on to Antardasha, let me explain one more thing. In the Mahadasha concept, say that you are going through a Mahadasha of Cancer. Cancer in this case is 1st house Lord, sure, he or she can get married in this case. Then there is Mercury ruled 3rd house. Yes, again, possible. 4th house Libra, ruled by Venus. Venus is in 7th house, good placement, still could get married. 5th house Lord Mars, possible. Mars is in its own sign. Yes, if Mars Dasha comes, could still get married. Then comes Jupiter, or Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, 6th house. 6th house, 8th house, and 12th house, these 3 houses in specific could, if their Mahadasha comes, it would make it difficult for you to get married. Now, there is a positive side to this. If you have 6th house Dasha going on, in this case Jupiter, there could be legal issues, but it is a possibility to overcome, and you might be able to get married, okay? So it's not exactly denial of marriage in this case. If you have 12th house Dasha going on, which in this case is Mercury, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, so if you have Mahadasha of 12th house, again, not a denial of marriage. However, if you get married within the Mahadasha of 12th house, keep in mind that there's a very high possibility that you might face some sort of separation or some sort of distance in your marriage as soon as you get married. So maybe due to immigration, there's a separation, right? Or maybe you're working in different cities and have difficult time finding job in another city where you both can live together. Those sort of separations might occur. 8th house in this chart is ruled by Saturn, the sign of Aquarius. Um, Eighth house Mahadashas are very difficult. Eighth house Mahadashas generally is considered a denial of marriage. Eighth house Mahadashas is generally considered denial of marriage. There's a very, very rare case that you have 8th house Mahadasha going on and you might get married. It's very rare. Yes, it is possible. But in those situations, I have also seen that before the end of Mahadasha, before the end of 8th house Mahadasha, the one that they got married in, they the native gets divorced as well. So generally, I don't recommend getting married in 8th house Mahadasha. Before it starts, please go ahead and get married. If it's already started, wait for it to end, because that marriage will result in a divorce. But then, do you have control over whom you get married or when you get married? Not really. So it's kind of vain to speak on that as well. But coming back to this chart, so Mahadasha should not negate the event of marriage. So if it's 8th house, it's going to be a little difficult for you to get married. Then comes 9th, 10th, 11th. Those houses also support the event of marriage. So besides 6th, 8th, and 12th, all of the houses support the event of marriage. Marriage is still possible in the Mahadasha of 6th and 12th house, not so much as 11th house. Now, whichever Mahadasha you're running, if it's not of 2nd, 7, and 11 houses, at least the Antardasha, Pratyantardasha, or Sushma Dasha should support the event of marriage. If it's Mahadasha of 8th house, no matter what Antardasha, Pratyantardasha, Sushma Dasha comes, it may still not support the event of marriage. Okay, then the third point, that planets and transits should activate certain houses. Now, what are these houses? What sort of transits? Which planets should activate what? Let's get into it with some examples, because I think examples are going to be very helpful in this case. So, predicting the event of marriage. There are a lot of ways to predict the event of marriage. I'm going to introduce you guys to one which has been proven time and time again with most accuracy. Then what we will do is, in the next video that I'll upload, I will go into the same examples with different methods to show you guys, well, or to support the event example that we are going through today, just so you guys know what other ways there are to predicting the event of marriage. Okay, it's a very hot topic in today's world, where a lot of people are in the age of marriage but are not being able to get married. It could be the chart, it could be a lot of other things. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first planet that is going to play the most important factor in predicting the event of marriage is Saturn. Okay, so Saturn's transit should influence the first house or the first lord, and 7th house or 7th lord. What that means is, together the Saturn's transit has to activate first house and the 7th house or its lords in order to fulfill this condition. Once this condition has been fulfilled, the event of marriage would take place within 27 months. That's a typo, please ignore that. 27 months. Within 27 months, I'm just reiterating just to make sure you guys don't take a mistake there. Jupiter's transit. So after Saturn's transit is fulfilled, Jupiter's transit comes into action. Jupiter's transit should then influence first house, first lord, 7th house, 7th lord, 5th house, 5th lord, 9th house, 9th lord, and natal Venus. When all of these conditions are fulfilled, the event of marriage would take place within 12 months. Keeping in mind, these 12 months of Jupiter's activation should not exceed the deadline of Saturn. If it does, then it negates the event of marriage again. Okay. After Saturn and Jupiter's transits fulfill these conditions, then comes Mars. Mars transit should then influence the first house or first lord, seventh house or seventh lord, or fifth house or fifth lord, ninth house or ninth lord, and natal Venus. Once activated, event of marriage would take place within the 6 months of that time frame. Once Mars has also been activated, it has also blessed the event of marriage, then comes your 7th house lord. So 7th house lord, once its transits over its natal 1st house lord, 9th house lord, or 11th house lord, the event of marriage would take place within 40 days. 40 days. And I have a lot of examples for you guys coming up. So I hope you guys enjoy these examples. And please, if you guys do have questions, do comment below so I can help you further. Moving on, example number 1. Okay, so this person's Saturn moved into the sign of Libra in the 12th house on October 6, 1982. Now, Saturn has 3 aspects for those you don't know. So Saturn has 3rd aspect, 7th aspect, and 10th aspect. So 3rd aspect, if you count 1, 2, 3, it goes on to the 2nd house of Sagittarius, where number 9 is written. Okay, and its 7th aspect goes to 6th house of Aries. And its 10th aspect goes to its 10th aspect goes to 9th house of Cancer. Okay, so we don't even need to go to the 7th or 10th house in this case. Just see the 3rd aspect. The 3rd aspect going to the 2nd house of Sagittarius activates Mars and Venus. As you can see, the 1st house lord, Scorpio, 1st house is ruled by Scorpio. The lord of Scorpio is Mars. The 7th house is Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So Mars and Venus are 1st and 7th house lord in this case. So by the 3rd aspect, this person's 1st and 7th house lords are being activated. Great. So within 27 months from October 6, 1982, this person is to get married, which means it would be the event of marriage would happen for this person between October 6, 1982 to January 6, 1985. Then comes Jupiter. So Jupiter transits into Scorpio on November 26, 1982, influences the 1st house, right? Because it is sitting in itself in the 1st house. Its 5th aspect goes to the 5th house, so it activates the 5th house. Its 7th aspect goes to the 7th house, so it activates the 7th house. Then its 9th aspect goes to the 9th house and it activates the 9th house. But how does it activate the natal Venus? Well, guess what? The 1st house and 2nd house, 1st house and 7th house lord both become active with this influence, right? So when both of them become active, guess what? 7th house lord itself is Venus. So yes, natal Venus gets influenced. So we're good in this condition as well. So from November 26, 1982, within a year, this person would get married. So November 26, 1982 to November 26, 1983. Great. Now we have a year time frame. Let's break that down further. So Mars moves into Sagittarius on October 23rd, 1982. So if we go to Sagittarius in this case, which is in 2nd house, again, it is activating the 1st house lord, Mars, 7th house lord, Venus. Great. Excellent. It is activating the natal Venus as well because Venus is placed right there. Excellent. Its 8th aspect goes to 9th house, so it's activating the 9th house as well, right? And it is also activating the 5th lord, which is Jupiter, because again, Mars is in the sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So in association, it is activating Jupiter, plus Mars' fourth aspect is also going towards the fifth house. So that also is activating it. So within 6 months from October 23rd, 1982, this person would get married, which would be before April 23rd, 1983. Then comes seventh house lord. In this case, seventh house lord is Venus. And when Venus transits over natal Mercury, which is basically the 11th house lord sitting in third house of Capricorn, which happens December 31st, 1982, this fulfills the condition of seventh house lord over natal first house lord, or natal seventh house lord, or natal 11th house lord, right? So this fulfills that condition, and this person is to get married somewhere between December 31st, 1982 to February 9, 1983. And this person, yes, did get married on February 4th, 1983. Okay, I have also mentioned, if you see Mahadasha, Antardasha, Pratyantardasha, and Sushmadasha. So Mahadasha is of Moon. Moon is 9th house lord, but it is sitting in 6th house. So yes, there would have been some sort of legal issue that might have came up in their marriage, and yes, I am aware that this was the case. Antardasha is of Venus, which is 7th house lord. Okay, so as I told you, the Mahadasha should support the event of marriage of 2nd house, 7th house, or 11th house. In this case, it is of 9th house, which is also in support of marriage. It's not negating the event of marriage, so we're good there. And the Antardasha itself is of 11th house lord, 7th house lord Venus. Again, supports the event of marriage, no issue there. Pratyantardasha, again, of Moon, which is 9th house lord, great. And Sushmadasha is of Jupiter, as Jupiter is 5th house lord and the 2nd house lord as well. So that also supports the event of marriage in this case. Let's move on to example number 2. In example number 2, we have Saturn moving into Sagittarius on January 26, 2017. If you see that Sagittarius in, Saturn in Sagittarius, in this case, 3rd aspect, 7th aspect, or 10th aspect does not activate Venus or Mars in this case. However, on April 6, 2017, the planet Saturn in Sagittarius went retro, which means it started moving towards Scorpio. Okay, when it does that, it is activating the 7th house of Scorpio and the 1st house of Taurus. So yes, in this case, it activates the 1st and 7th axis. So it means that within 27 months, again, this particular person could get married. So that would be from April 6, 2017 plus 27 months to July 6, 2019. So we have that 27-month time frame. Let's dive deeper. Jupiter in Libra on September 12, 2017. So keep in mind, the Jupiter's transit after Saturn has to activate it. If Jupiter is in a placement before and it's already activating the houses, and then the Saturn comes in and supports it, kind of does not work the other way around. Saturn has to support the event of marriage first, only then Jupiter, Mars, and 7th house lord can bless the event of marriage. Okay, so Jupiter moved into Libra on September 12, 2017. Libra in this case is in 6th house. Okay, in this case it activated Mars, which is the 7th house lord, it activated Mercury, which is the 5th house lord. When it activated the 5th house lord, it activates the 5th house as well, right? Now, Jupiter has 5th aspect, so 5th aspect goes to 10th house. There's no planet there, but it is the lordship of Saturn. Saturn is placed in 9th house, so again, it is activating the 9th house as well by association. Then 7th aspect goes to Aries in 12th house, but again, it is already activating Mars. Great. And then 9th aspect goes to Gemini, which is Mercury, which is again also activating the 5th house. If the 5th house is active, which in this case is, because there are multiple association that is activating the 5th house of Mercury. In that case, once the 5th house of Mercury is active, Sun is placed in 5th house. Sun is the ruler of 4th house, Leo, and that is where the natal Venus is. So by association, even Venus becomes active. So the condition of activating or influencing of 1st, 5th, 7th, 9th house or house lords and natal Venus is fulfilled in this case. So this person is then to get married between September 12, 2017 to September 12, 2018. Great. Now we have 1 year time frame. Well, can we pinpoint further? Yes, we can. So Mars then moves into Capricorn on May 2nd, 2018. Capricorn is 9th house for this native. It influences 9th house. Great. It influences the 1st house. Actually, let's go step back a little. Let me explain you the aspects and how it's activating it, right? So only then you would be able to understand. Okay, so Mars in Capricorn, itself is in 9th house, so it's activating the 9th house itself. Great, amazing. Then it has 4th aspect going to 1, 2, 3, 4, Aries. Great. So it's activating Aries, which is Mars ruled by Mars, right? So Mars is the 7th house lord. Again, the condition is fulfilled. Great. Okay. Then comes the 7th aspect. 7th aspect goes to Cancer. Not that great. Fine. 8th aspect goes to 4th house, which is where natal Venus is. 4th house lord Sun is placed in 5th house, so Sun is active as well. 5th house lord is Mercury, which is in 6th house placed with 7th house lord. So in this situation, then 9th house is active, then natal Venus is active, then Mercury, Mars, all fulfill the condition. And on that happens on May 2nd, 2018. So from May 2nd, 2018, within 6 months time frame, the native will get married, which would be before November 2nd, 2018. Let's break it down even further. 7th house lord in this case is Mars. Okay, Mars transits over 9th lord Saturn on June 27, 2018. So within 40-day time frame, this person would get married. So June 27, 2018 plus 40 days comes out to August 6, 2018. This native got married on August 3rd, 2018. So yes, all of these conditions were met, activated, and the person was married within the 40-day time frame. Can we pinpoint the days further? Yes, we can, and we will in the upcoming sessions. So hold on to the horses. We are going one step at a time. let's move our focus towards the dashas of this individual. So Mahadasha of Rahu. Okay, now a lot of people are going to get confused here, so I'm going to clarify beforehand. Rahu is placed in 8th house. Oh, so how can she get married if it's 8th house Mahadasha? It's not 8th house Mahadasha. 8th house Lord is Jupiter. It's not Jupiter Mahadasha. Okay? But it is Rahu Mahadasha. So Rahu Mahadasha, Antardasha, Pratyantardasha, Shushma Dasha, all of these dashas have the capacity of an individual getting married. And in this particular case, the Antardasha is of Jupiter. But Jupiter is the lord of 8th house, so how can she get married? 8th house is basically denial of marriage, right? No, not in this case. Why? Because Jupiter is also the lord of 11th house. 11th house. Have a look. Pisces. So 11th house of desires. And as I told you, the first rule is Mahadasha of 2nd, 7th, and 11th houses support the event of marriage. So does Antardasha, Pratyantardasha, and Sushma Dasha, right? So technically, yes, it should have been denial or whatnot. But in this case, it's not, because there's an exception. It is also the lord of 11th house. So yes, this native will and can get married within the Antardasha of Jupiter. So okay, so Mahadasha supports it, Antardasha supports it. Venus is what? 1st house lord. Okay, it is the 6th house lord. So was there any issues in getting this person married? Well, somewhat. Somewhat. I will not dive too much deeper into it. But yes, there was some sort of disturbances, but did they get married? Yes, they did. And then Sushma Dasha is of Sun, which is in 5th house. It is the 4th house lord. Great. All supportive. But the main concern, which you guys might have had, is of Rahu and then Jupiter. So I hope that clarifies it. If you have further questions, please feel free to ask that question in the comment section, and I will definitely get back to you. Okay? I did want to also put in an example of prediction as to when this individual would get married. This person is a 1991 born, a friend of mine, will not disclose who for the sake of privacy, as I have not disclosed any name or date of birth or anything else previously, so we're not going to get into all of that. But we are going to dive and see how is this person's marriage date and how can we predict it, right? And we will, I can guarantee you I can predict you the week and perhaps like give you 2 dates specifically where this person will get married. But in order for us to get to that part, we still have to go through a lot of other calculations. So let's get into it. Sorry, I needed a sip of tea. My tea is now cold, but that's okay. Okay. Saturn moves into Pisces on March 29, 2025. Pisces for this person is in 4th house. Okay, so by 10th aspect, it is activating the 1st house. Great. But in this case, it's not activating the 7th house or the 7th lord, which is Mercury. Not great, right? However, on July 15, just a couple of weeks after, July 15, 2025, Saturn retrogrades in Pisces, so it starts moving towards Aquarius. And so with the Aquarius aspect, it activates the 1st house lord. So as you can see, Aquarius 7, if Saturn, just imagine placing Saturn in Aquarius. And then the 7th aspect goes to 9th house where Jupiter is placed, which is the 1st house lord. Great. And if you count 10, it goes to 12th house where there's Mercury, which is the 7th house lord. So in the retro aspect, it is activating the first and the seventh house lord. In the forward aspect, it is activating just the first house lord. But as soon as it goes retro, it again activates the first and seventh house lord. Great. So that happens on July 13, not 15, apologies. July 13, 2025, plus 27 months, which brings it to October 13, 2027, right? So July 13, 2025 to October 13, 2027 is the time frame this individual would get married. Now, you might have questioned that, hey, it was there previously. Why did it not happen previously? Well, the other conditions also have to be fulfilled. So at that time, if Jupiter was in a place where it is not supporting the event of marriage, it's not going to happen, right? So that's why Saturn's activation time is 27 months to ensure that, hey, Jupiter gets sufficient time to come by and activate it. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? And you can literally see that in this chart. This person has Ketu in 7th house, so, and Saturn, Ketu in 7th house, which does indicate a delay of marriage, right? So it would not have happened that early on in life, right? Okay. Moving further, Jupiter. Jupiter moves into Leo on October 31st, 2026. So Leo is in 9th house. It activates the 9th house. Its 5th aspect activates the 1st house. Its 9th aspect activates the 5th house. Great. But it's not exactly activating the natal Venus or the 7th house of Mercury, or the 7th house in general, right? Okay, let's go back then a little. So when Jupiter goes retro, which is March 9, 2027, so from Leo, it starts moving towards Cancer again. So in the retro aspect, its fifth aspect goes to 12th house, where Mercury is placed. So it's activating the 7th house lord in retro aspect, and in forward aspect it is activating the 159 trine, right? In the retro aspect, not only is it activating the 7th house lord Mercury, but it is also activating the 10th house, because Mercury is also the lord of 10th house, where natal Venus is placed. So it activates the natal Venus as well, right? So the day Jupiter goes retro in Leo, which is on March 9, 2027, all of the conditions in retro and forward aspects are fulfilled. So this person would then get married between March 9, 2027 to March 9, 2028. Now keep in mind that this transit of Jupiter cannot exceed the Saturn's deadline, so it cannot go beyond October 13, 2027. So even though this person technically has up till March 9, 2028, they don't. In this case, the deadline would be March 9, 2027 to October 13, 2027. Okay, so there's a shorter time frame. Can we drill down on Mars time frame? Yeah, let's go. So Mars also moves into Leo on April 26, 2027. Okay, so when it moves into Leo, how is it activating all of them? So Mars moving into Leo, it is the 9th house. It is activating the 9th house itself. 9th house also has Jupiter, so it's activating the 1st house. 9th house lord is Sun, which is sitting in 12th house with Mercury, which is the 7th house lord. So it activates the 7th house. It is also the 10th house lord, so it activates 10th house where natal Venus is there. So then it is activating 9th house, 1st house, 7th house, natal Venus, and even Mars, right? Because by 4th aspect, it is activating Mars as well, which is the 5th house lord. So again, all of the conditions get fulfilled when Mars moves into Leo on April 26, 2027. So 6 months from that date, the person would get married, which would be October 26, 2027. But it cannot exceed, again, Saturn or Jupiter's deadline in this case. Jupiter's deadline is far, but Saturn's is also far, but like before October 13, 2027, this person would get married. Somewhere between April 26, 2027 to October 13, 2027. Great. Then let's move further with 7th house Lord. In this case, 7th house is ruled by Gemini. Lord of Gemini is Mercury. Okay, so the fourth condition was the Lord of 7th house transits over natal, first house Lord, natal 11th house Lord, natal 9th house Lord, right? So natal first house Lord is in 9th house, natal 9th house Lord is in 12th house, and natal 7th house, 11th house Lord is in 10th house. So before it goes to Venus or Sun, in this case, it is going to go over natal Jupiter, which basically happens on August 14, 2027. So it activates that condition on that day. So from 40 days from there, the person will get married. So somewhere between August 14, 2027 and September 23rd, 2027, this native is to get married. Simple. Can we dive further and pick out a week, a day perhaps? Yes, we can. We will, as I mentioned, but in a separate video because this is getting a little longer. Let's also have a quick look at the dashas of this native. The Mahadasha this person is running is of Mercury. Mercury is 7th and 10th house Lord, which is fine, great, not negating the event of marriage. But Mercury is placed in 12th house. As I mentioned, 12th house does not negate the event of marriage. It does make it difficult in terms of the person might face some sort of separation, some sort of distance upon getting married. Okay, so that might happen. Then the Antardasha of Venus. Well, yeah, Venus is 7th house Lord. It is the 6th house Lord as well, so there might be some sort of difficulty in getting married, but it is 11th house Lord, as we saw previously. If it's 8th or 6th house Lord, but if it's also 11th house Lord, yeah, the person can get married in the Antardasha of Venus. Great. Then Pratyantardasha in that time frame of August 14 and September 23, 2027, there are two Pratyantardashas that happen, which is of Mars and Rahu. Mars in this case again is 12th house Lord in 12th house, 5th house Lord, and then Rahu is in 1st house, and it always has the capacity to get married for the person, right? So it is a prominent time frame for the person to get married as per the dashas as well. The dashas are supporting it, not negating it. It would be a little difficult, not denial. So between August 14, 2027 to September 23, 2027, stay tuned. We will dive further in detail into the week and the dates, and we will also review it by 2-3 other methods to confirm that, hey, this person is to get married in this time frame. Okay, so it's going to be interesting. If you guys have any questions from today's video, please feel free to mention in the comments. I will definitely get back to you as soon as possible. And if you have liked this video so far, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any confusion or if you want clarification, mention in the comments. And if this video has given you insights, please do share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great evening, everybody.